2, 3, 4.
Rev up your engines!
Well, here's one from a fan showing you the quality of GM, or lack thereof. Adam012 says, Scotty, my family just purchased a 2020 GMC Sierra. Today we pulled it out of the garage and it's leaking oil all over the floor. The truck has 300 miles on it and it's brand new. It's lost so much oil it doesn't even register on the dipstick anymore. Any advice? Well, yes, you should have listened to my advice previously, never to buy one of those things. You're here to tow it in, let them fix it, but I mean, really, the quality is that bad. You bought it. It's got 300 miles and the oil's leaked all over your driveway. It just shows the lack of quality that GM has. I've told you, it's been going down for a long time. Doesn't seem to be headed upwards at any time in the near future. You buy something like that and it's that poorly made. That's just, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You know, and I see it with my own customers' cars. That's why I tell people not to buy them. I spent my life, the last 52 years, working on cars, fixing them. I hate when my customers get ripped off. And now I can tell everybody in the world about it so they don't get ripped off. It helps everybody out. So any of you people out there got these problems, tell me about it. I'll share the information with everybody else so less people get ripped off. Here's yet another reason not to buy a Volkswagen. The other day I had a customer bring me a Volkswagen with one of these VR6 engines. This is how insane Volkswagen is. They really don't care about fixing the cars after they built them. Take a normal engine. The front of the engine is a timing belt, or, in the case of the Volkswagen, a timing chain that runs the cams. On this VR6 design, the customer brought over, the timing chain was rattling. It's a typical problem as they age, get over 100,000 miles. Now, the timing chain isn't in the front of the engine. It's in the back of the engine, between the engine and the transmission, where they bolt on. In order to replace this chain assembly, and there's two chains, there's one chain runs one part and one chain runs another, you have to take the transmission off the vehicle to work on it. So it would cost a small fortune. Now, there's absolutely no reason to design a car that hard to make. Volkswagen calls it, oh, it's a lifetime part. It'll last as long as the engine. Oh, yeah? The customer of mine had plenty good compression in the cylinders, but the chain had worn out because they're not made all that well. A whole bunch of work because these idiots decide, let's put the timing chain in the back instead of in the front where it's easily accessible. Yet another reason not to buy a Volkswagen. Engineering as high as they can possibly get it with no thought of, gee, what happens when these things break? And then they lie and say, oh, well, that should last a lifetime of the engine anyway, so who cares? They don't. And then it costs a fortune to fix it. So don't buy one of these things in the first place. Well, I guess there's some not too savvy business people out there. It turns out that Fiat Chrysler on Tuesday said completed a deal to get $3.8 billion in credit. This credit deal was with 13 different banks. Well, I hope it's none of the banks that I have any money in, because it would show total lack of intelligence. Fiat Chrysler, they're bleeding money out. Both companies don't make very good vehicles. Together, they make even worse vehicles. Why 13 banks would loan them $3.8 billion is beyond me. What are they going to do if they forfeit? Give them a bunch of their junky cars in prepayment? I mean, it just totally amazes me. People don't even comprehend the businesses that they're loaning money to. These are failing businesses. Why would you loan them $3.8 billion? I could think of better things to invest money in than Fiat Chrysler. Somehow they suckered 13 banks to loan them $3.8 billion. What did P.T. Barnum say? Hey, there's a sucker born every minute. Moman says, hey, Scotty, I found a deal on a Honda S2000 for about 10 grand with 45,000 miles, but it has a salvage title. Pretty much collector items now. People are starting to collect those S2000s, the Honda sports car. They're very good cars. And if it really only has 45,000 miles, it's worth every bit of $10,000. But don't buy it. And why don't buy it? Because it has a salvage title. A salvage title means was totaled by an insurance company, then sold as salvage. Never buy one of those cars. You have no idea what went on. Wrecked, flooded, on fire. No one knows what happened to it, but insurance companies, they don't total cars for nothing. When there's big damage to them, the insurance companies decide there's more repairs needed on this vehicle than the vehicle's worth, so here's the payout. Then they sell the car as a salvage car. Don't ever buy one of those. It's too much gambling. It's got the salvage title. If you decide you're going to sell it on, still a salvage title. People are going to pay less. Smart people wouldn't even buy it, and other guys would pay very little for it, then hope they could, fix it up, make it look good, and then sell it to somebody who doesn't understand what a salvage title is. Or, on the other hand, ship it out of the country, and then nobody probably even knows. I got people that do that for a living. They buy salvage cars, they ship them South Africa, South America, where cars go for a ton of money, and they can make good bucks doing it. But that's a big business, and it's a little on the shady side, too, so stay away from salvage titled vehicles. Sigmund Ale says, Scotty, what do you think? My dad has a 71 Dodge Monaco. Hasn't started for ages. He wants to have me fix it all up for him. What do you think? It's a 71 Dodge. This thing's really not worth any money. It's not any kind of real collector's item or anything. That old. It's going to need so much work. All the oil seals, all the rubber stuff's going to be rotten. From my experience, my own customers attempting that kind of stuff, they always got in over their head. They either had to put too much money having other people fix things they couldn't fix, and then they'd have 15 grand in a car that was worth maybe 4 or 5 if it was in immaculate shape when they were done, or they put too much of their own time in it and the car still needed a bunch of work, and then they sold it for a fraction of the money they'd put into the vehicle. So I'd say no. Now, if you can get the stupid thing running, you want a beater car, go ahead and fool around with it, but don't put a bunch of money into it. The thing is worth nothing. It has no intrinsic value. You'll be throwing tons of money in it. You'll never see it back. 202 Ray says, I'm thinking about putting a cold air intake on it. Will it increase my power, miles per gallon? Should I do it? Don't do it. There's a billion videos out there. I even have one why cold air intakes are stupid. You can watch the videos. But what it comes down to is, yes, cold air intakes work on race cars. But race cars have various modifications. They are programmed by pros to run best for the temperature, the humidity, the barometric pressure, all kinds of things. You just put a cold air intake on a car, generally they run worse. I've had so many kids do it here in Houston. Then they bring it to me, my check engine lights on. And I said, you check engine lights on because you put a cold air intake and it confused the computer and the sensors and everything. The airflow is different. Everything's different. They actually run worse when you're done. Now, if you know a good tuner and you want to pay them a ton of money to reprogram the computer and set it up, it can be done. But technically, you're breaking EPA laws. And a lot of times when you go to get your car inspected, they won't inspect your car. They'll say that's an illegal modification for pollution. You can't get your car inspected legally. So who wants to deal with all that crap? Just leave it alone. Pedro 0956 says, I don't know if my car's overheating or is this regular. Got an '07 Chrysler 302.7. The temperature gauge had read halfway. It would seem to get hot fast, so I changed the thermostat and wired the fans so they're on high. The gauge reaches halfway, but I can still smell hot coolant inside the vehicle. What do you think? It's supposed to run halfway. You probably didn't need to wire the fans to stay on the whole time. The thermostat, good idea to change it. They wear out over time, and the thing is 13 years old. You smell coolant in the cabin. I've worked on enough of those things to realize that 99% of the time, this is why you're smelling coolant. Those things have the cheapest heater cores on earth. They used to make out of copper and stuff. Now they're made out of what? Plastic and aluminum. So the heater core in the dash, they seep. And so you're smelling coolant inside the car because your heater core is leaking. Have a pro check it. We have sniffing machines. We have little endoscopes we can snake in and look inside and see, yeah, look, it's dripping inside there or it's seeping. Odds are you're going to need a heater core on that thing, and it's a very, very expensive job tearing the whole dash apart. Here in Texas, where it doesn't get very cold in Houston, we bypass them. We just take the 2 heater hoses that go into the firewall inside the engine when you open the hood, and we get a splice kit and splice them together. That bypasses the heater core. No more leaking. You won't have hot air anymore, but we don't care here in Texas. We got too much hot air as it is. So you might try that if you want to save some money, because odds are your heater core is leaking. And it can just seep a little bit and you won't notice much, but you're going to smell it. LEM says, Scotty, I'm leasing a 2017 VW Tiguan. The lease will end in 5 months. I'm debating to buy it from the lease as I went over my mileage and the car needs $2,000 of body work for scratch and dents. Should I give it back and pay the penalty, or should I keep the Volkswagen? Get rid of it. They're endless money pits. You think it's bad now. Wait till you see what happens when the things age. They are just endless money pits. It goes on and on and on. And yeah, you'll have to pay those penalties, but what the heck? It beats being stuck with a stupid Volkswagen that's going to fall apart. Then you either have to spend a fortune, or when you do sell it falling apart, you get a few $1,000s and really lose a ton of money. Better to lose a little bit money now than a lot of money later. And really, you find out leases are kind of a scam if you put a lot of mileage on a car. If you put a lot of mileage on a car, get a good car like a Toyota, buy it and just keep driving it. Don't lease a car that you put too many miles, you got to pay the penalty. You might as well buy a good car instead of leasing a crappy one.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.